we say the prayers, we drink the wine, we eat the bread. What if I were to say to you, well, from now on, we're actually going to have 3 elements instead of 2. Now, you're taking it pretty well. There are Episcopalians that would actually have to take their nitroglycerin after hearing something like that. The reason I use that illustration is because this Sunday, Trinity Sunday, is a celebration of a change like that. Remember, the disciples, those guys we left on the mountain looking up going, were absolutely soaked in monotheism. There is Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. One. And of course, that was the antidote to all of the syncretistic religions around that had 5 gods, 10 gods, 30 gods. The Hittites figured, after they conquered everybody, we have too many gods. So the Hittite king's wife said, we're going to pare this down a little bit. There are too many gods to keep track of. And so the Lord our God is one, is central. And then Jesus shows up and throws a wrench into the whole conception of God because, well, what he did was so remarkable, so God-like. The Gospels fall all over themselves trying to describe who Jesus is. Paul falls all over himself trying to describe who Jesus is. But Jesus is such a significant interruption in the history of the understanding of God that it takes 400 years to settle on what exactly Jesus means. Now, if you have any doubts about, you hear people say, well, Jesus was an idea. He was kind of a cultural movement. No, he was one person who walked among a very small population of the Roman Empire and ended up converting the Roman Empire from the inside. He was a big deal and a fact. It's a fact you can count on that this Jesus walked among us. And one of the biggest pieces of evidence we have is that it took the church 400 years to attempt to figure out how to place Jesus in the context of our experience of God. And so the best we could come up with was God in 3 persons, blessed Trinity. One God, 3 persons. Now, our 3-dimensional brains really have a problem with that. Is it 3 or is it 1? We're on-off kind of creatures. We have a real hard time with it being both. Just look at what physicists are trying to do with superposition of particles. Well, it's a particle. No, it's a wave. No, it's here. No, it's there. It's spin up, spin down. They want it to be something. And God, just like all the particles he's made, says, not really. I can be both. I can be both my Son and the Spirit that lives among you. He lives in your hearts, and the Creator. By the way, I was noticing that, how you can read the Bible over and over, and then you go, I didn't know that was there. And when we were hearing that first lesson, I was going, I didn't know sky got its own day. I mean, the land is a co-star, but the sky is really. So, this Jesus, we spend well, more than 400 years, because there's people still arguing about it. The Greek Orthodox Church says the Spirit proceeds from the Son, from the Father. The Catholic Church says it proceeds from the Father and the Son. Now, these are very subtle theological differences, but people have gone to war over it. It's horrible what they did. One of the archimandrites of the Orthodox Church went to Hagia Sophia and put a bull of excommunication on all Catholics on the altar. Said this is it. And in the Fourth Crusade, the Roman Empire answered back by sacking the capital, Constantinople, and was bloody. People have gone to war over this thing. And God is up there going, oh yeah, that's exactly what I intended. What the Feast of the Trinity really calls us to do is to let go of those tiny little partitions that we create in order to narrate our reality and say, God, what do you mean by that? One of the sages of the church used to say, you know, when I meditate on the Trinity, I'm always led to the persons of the Trinity. When I meditate about the persons of the Trinity, I'm led to the unity of the Trinity. It's something that goes back and forth. It doesn't settle in one state. That's what today's feast is about. Don't get settled in one state, you guys. Let it be a lot of things at once. Really, the creeds were set out to simply say, you know, these are the borders around which this argument happens. But inside there is lots of room for it to be many things. And I think if I were to say, what do you want to, what should we take away from today? We should take away that indeterminacy. Take away the fact that it's okay to be both. You know, every one of us, if we were to tell our stories, we would tell our story of God in a different way, and none of us could say, oh no, that one's wrong. Well, unless you say something outrageous like God is Satan or whatever. But I can't say your experience is wrong. Your experience is your gift from God. It's almost like each one of us is God's gift to the other, saying, look at all the ways I work. Look at all the ways I speak to people. It doesn't have to be one way. And in the same sense, when you open your ears, don't listen for just the one way. Just listen for God. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand as you are comfortably able as we say together the Nicene Creed. Oh, wow, the Nicene Creed. That's kind of one of the definitions of God.